Stop self-funding your pilot. This Save Thursday tip needs to be heard by anyone working on original ideas on their own independently because I see this mistake way too often, and that is self-funding an entire pilot episode. I have worked in television development for over 15 years, and I see independent producers making this mistake all of the time. They have a great idea, they spend a ton of money, and they film a full on pilot thinking it's going to help them sell the show. Well, I am here to tell you unequivocally it doesn't help, and it in fact hurts you. First, let's talk about the normal development process. You don't start with a full pilot, you start with a paper pitch, which can often be one sheet. It is an outline of your idea with some visual references, maybe even some conceptual artwork. This shows the network or production company what your show is about and why it is compelling. If something needs to be produced, you then possibly make a casting tape or a sizzle. A sizzle is basically a teaser or trailer for your show. It communicates the tone, the style, and the pacing, just enough to get people excited. Filming a full pilot at this stage is unnecessary. You're spending money and time you don't need to. Networks and financiers don't need to see a full episode to evaluate your idea. And if you do want to see a pilot, it's their job to fund it, not yours. That's how development works. Pitch first, let them invest second. Now, let's dig into why self-funding a pilot is too risky. One is financial exposure. You are risking tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars with no guarantee that anyone will buy your show. That is a huge personal risk and one that can seriously set you back in life. Creative restrictions. When you fund a pilot, you feel pressure to make it perfect. You're going to overproduce it, and that can actually dilute the originality and energy of your idea. Sometimes less is more. A tight, clever sizzle often sells better than a full episode. 3 are misaligned expectations. Networks don't often want a full pilot at all. Usually, they just want a scene, a sizzle, or a character tape. Delivering a full episode can be overkill, and it can even intimidate or confuse the decision makers because many times they want to be a part of that process. They want to be helping you mold the clay of your original idea into something that works for them. It also limits flexibility. Once you shoot a pilot, your idea is fixed. Networks would like the flexibility to tweak or pivot concepts. If you've already sunk money into them and it's the pilot that is completed, it's much harder to adjust that later. What are you going to do? Reshoot content? Probably at that point, you've already broken the bank and it's unnecessary. Now, another thing to think about is when you go and shoot your own pilot, this breaks industry norms. In both reality and scripted television, development almost always follows the same path. Concept to pitch deck to sizzle, sizzle to scene, then maybe a funded pilot. Self-funding skips steps and signals inexperience. And many times along the way, in those steps, you are learning new things and essentially developing the idea further. Don't remove the developmental stage of development. Now, let's talk about what you should be doing instead of making a full pilot. Focus your time, money, and energy on a well-constructed pitch deck that clearly communicates your concept, possibly a character tape which can be done efficiently through things as simple as a Zoom call or a recorded Skype. Use that to showcase the talent or key people in your show. If you really want to invest some money, maybe you do a sizzle reel to sell the tone, the style, and pacing, but not a full episode. Even when networks fund development, you rarely go straight to pilot. You often build momentum first by proving the idea, then letting others take that financial risk. Another reason self-funding is problematic is that it can set the wrong expectations with collaborators and talent. You may think you're showing commitment, but instead you could create pressure to develop a finished product that no one actually needs or wants. It's completely unnecessary. And here's a key mindset shift. Development is about selling the concept, not producing the show. And so the goal is to make someone believe in your idea enough to invest, not to make the network love your editing or your cinematography to where they are essentially buying your product. So the takeaway here is simple. Stop self-funding pilots. Don't put your personal money or time at risk before the idea is even validated. Use smart, standard development tools like decks, sizzles, proof of concept scenes. Let the networks or financiers fund the actual production of a pilot. If you do this, you'll stay strategic, professional, and creative instead of being broke, frustrated, and exhausted. You don't need to make a full pilot to sell your show. Sell the idea first, then make the pilot with someone else's money.